to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm joined today by Ollie Clayton, who is currently out on the road with And There Were... Oh gosh, I've messed that up already. And Then There Were None. It's hard to say. He's out there currently at the Richmond Theatre until tomorrow. Welcome, Ollie. How are you?
I'm very good, Emma. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. So you're playing Anthony Marston in this play. Obviously, people will know that this is an Agatha Christie story. I've seen a few of them. I've seen The Mousetrap, of course, probably her most favourite, but I've not seen this one. So tell me about your character in the show.
Anthony Marston is someone who is brought to Soldier Island under the false pretense, without giving too much away, of a good time, a very good time. And much like the other characters, they're all drawn here.
Uh-huh.
And he is someone who is of the upper classes. He is someone who likes to take up a lot of space. He's very one track in his thinking.
Uh-huh.
And throughout this story, his goal is to make the best of this situation. And as more of these obstacles come up for him, it's no, let's continue having this party, which is quite fun to play.
Yeah.
I like playing arseholes because it's quite fun.
Yeah, indeed. Why not? I mean, Agatha Christie's writing is so clever. Have you ever sort of acted in anything of hers before?
No, not even close. What is quite funny, the last job I was in was the play that goes wrong, which is a murder mystery that goes horribly wrong. So to go from, it was quite funny getting the offer through to having gone from that to almost the opposite end of the spectrum. This is the first time, and it's been such a joy. And I think part of that joy has been being around some of our more experienced cast members and seeing how they handle the text, how they hold themselves on stage, what they do backstage, the ease at which they hold these words with, and how they do it night after night. It's it's really something to behold.
It's just so clever. Her writing is that, you sit there and you're thinking, I just don't know. Like, there's so many options that could be the answer, could be the murderer or whatever. It's just so cleverly done. I mean, what's the audience reaction been like so far to the play?
It's been really good. We've been selling really well.
Yeah, good.
And we've got packed houses pretty much everywhere we go. And we had notes with our director Lucy Bailey on the Tuesday of this week. No, the Wednesday of this week, and the feeling that some of these audience members carry out with them is, oh my god, I can't believe that was going to happen. So she was feeding this back to us. People saying, that was fantastic. I can't believe. And you might be walking back to wherever your digs are or wherever you're staying, and you'll inadvertently bump into some of the people we've been watching, and you can even hear them, oh god, I thought it was going to be this person.
Yeah,
could have been the doctor, or this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
It has been very positively received by our audiences, which is,
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, it's testament to you as a performer and the rest of the cast, really. I mean, I remember going to see The Mousetrap out on its 70th anniversary tour, and as you say, like in the interval, even people are like chatting, oh, do you think it's that person? Do you think it's that? People get so invested in it, and I think her writing is that clever that it really keeps us captured right until the very end. You mentioned the play that goes wrong. Obviously, it's a pretty iconic bit of theatre. I was lucky enough to go and see Peter Pan Goes Wrong this week, which, I spent the whole time laughing. So tell me about your experience with Mischief Theatre, because they're just brilliant, I think.
They're fantastic. We were, I was part of the cast which took over in the winter, like I said, the autumn winter before the pandemic. So
Okay.
that 2021, when did everything lock down? March. We'd had the whole of September to rehearse, and then went up in October. And it was great. The rehearsal process was fantastic. Sean Turner, our director, he helped us create our characters, and a lot of this came from playing improvisation games.
Yeah.
Lots of very fun, silly things to do in the room, and then eventually learning the play that goes right. And then we put all the obstacles about, okay, why did this wrong? And then the crux of it, we have to finish this show. We have to finish this show. We have to finish the show. So learning it in that way, and then having no press because you're just up.
Yeah.
Was, again, it was quite nice. There was no thoroughfare or fanfare. We just got on with it.
Yeah.
Which was quite refreshing. And then there was a real camaraderie.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of what it is and how physical it is, and people can go down left, right, and center. There's a real tightness and togetherness with that company.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when the pandemic hit, inadvertently, when we start to come back, obviously other things might come out for other people.
Yeah.
But so I was with that show almost 2 years.
Okay.
In much on and off. And it was, we had a really good time. Had a very, very good time, and I learned a lot as well. So that was my first big stage job.
Yeah.
And I can't think of many where you get to ease yourself into it, in a sense, and then as an understudy that you're going to be going on. So I moved up when we came back after COVID, and initially I had 5 character tracks.
Oh wow.
So we had 3 male understudies and 2 female understudies, and the guys learned everybody bar 1.
Yeah.
So every cover bar 1 male character, and you would go on as all those characters.
Wow.
So it was always exciting. You were always able to keep it slightly fresh.
Yeah.
And you knew at some point, because of, like I said before, the nature of it, people go down, holidays come up, people need rest. We're going to go on.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have asked for a better first big theatre job, as opposed to maybe being an understudy with specific understudy shows in another show where else I'd be sitting in the back going, okay, when am I ready to go on? And after the first few, you're not nervous, whereas I can't say, I can only imagine that if I was waiting, I would be like, oh, I have some slight reservation about it. I could never fully be until maybe much further down the line in the run.
Yeah.
Confident in what you were doing.
Yeah. Brilliant. I mean, it's a brilliant show. I mean, it must be absolutely exhausting to do, because the physicality of the whole show is just non-stop, isn't it, from start to finish? And I often think I feel sorry for the set dresser at the end of the night, because to put all that back together, I think it must take forever. I mean, it's just great, isn't it, how it all goes wrong so well?
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So, talking about you, Ollie, what's your story? What made you want to be a performer? Where did you start?
I started at King Alfred's College in Oxfordshire, and then it was just King Alfred's. When I was there, I took drama as a GCSE choice, because at the time I could choose. I didn't have to do I think it's humanitarian subject, so I just chose PE, art, and drama.
Okay.
So it sounds like a load of fun as extra subjects.
Yeah.
And in year 9, it was in year 9, the musical they were doing at the time was West Side Story, which was the first musical my mum had introduced me to. And they needed more boys. Yeah. And so I went, yeah, okay, I know that story. Go along. And ended up getting the part of Riff. Oh, wow. I think from there, I was lucky to have good drama teachers, and we did really good school productions. There was a point after year 10 where our head of arts at the time, this guy called Mr. Burson, would spend copious amounts of time crafting these fantastic sets. He'd changed where the staging was. We did it in a whole old gym hall, but by the time he was finished with it, you were really going, oh Christ, this set's amazing for a school production as well. The quality was always really high. So I think, and then having very passionate people around me was really helpful too. We then had a friend's boyfriend get into Central, which then made
Okay.
the idea of drama school seem very possible.
Yeah.
I did a foundation at East 15, and it was either doing that or going to Lincoln to do English. And I went, no, we're going to go to East 15, even if it was
Yeah.
just for a year.
Mm.
Did the foundation there, auditioned again, trying to get back into drama schools. Was unsuccessful for 2 years, and the place that gave me an offer was the Arts University in Bournemouth.
Okay.
If East 15 gave me the I want to do this, Bournemouth really gave me the why.
Mm-hmm.
It was a BA honours acting course, so the restrictions that they were under, there was an element of conservatoire training, but it wasn't for, say, 9 till 6. So at East 15 I had been doing 9 till 6, 9 till 9, and at Bournemouth I think the time limit to be in a room was maybe 1.5 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the work we'd have to go, we were tasked with going off and devising or doing extracurricular activities. So we were doing it in oversubscribed rehearsal spaces because you were vying with third and second years, or going to people's living rooms or
Right.
bedroom.
Yeah.
And I think that do-it-yourself attitude gave me a lot of confidence, and I think it opened up the idea of, if I don't go to London, I'm going to go to Manchester or Brighton instead, and I'm going to create some theatre. I'm going to make a company.
Yeah.
And it was during my time at Bournemouth, I then met a friend called Patrick Riley, who does some fantastic work with a charity called Compass Collective. He runs that now. He created that from scratch with some friends of his. He introduced me to the National Youth Theatre.
Right.
And then that made me go, oh, this is even more realistic, this idea, this dream of mine.
Yeah.
Because it was a way of getting back in the National Youth Theatre. I say getting back into London, I suppose, being in and around agents and showcases, because we didn't do that at Bournemouth. I don't think they still do it because the course was so young. It didn't work. Spent X amount of money to go up and rent out space, when a lot of industry professionals, they give more credence for industry showcases to RADA, Guildhall, because they come with like cachet and weight, and you sort of the people already know what they're getting. They don't have to gamble when they go. So did that, got into the National Youth Theatre, immediately applied to go, after I did my intake the next year, I applied to do the rep company, auditioned to do the rep company, got to the third round, and the rep is a fantastic, like 9 months where you are on the West End. Wow. And you do also small tours, and you also get mentorship from industry professionals the entire way through, and you cultivate those relationships. I've got friends who did the rep course who are still speaking to some of those mentors. I didn't get it, but I got cast in a new writing season at the Film Theatre, when it was a play called The Fall, which was written by a fantastic playwright called James Fritz, and directed by a beautiful, beautiful man called Matt Harrison, who has, I think, a lot of influence on how I'm also a facilitator. And I have ambitions of directing at some point.
Okay.
A lot of his practice influenced me about how I would like to run my rooms and set up my rooms. But from there, at that Finborough show, I got my agent, who I'm still with now.
Okay.
And that was in 2016. So by the time I was coming into my third year, I think we'd had a conversation with my head of year at the time, this man called Doug Cuckwell, who did the voice. I don't know if any of your viewers are gamers, he voiced Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher, which is pretty cool. We had a conversation. He said, well, if anything comes up, we can negotiate it, and we'll get to it. And I think having that understanding from my head of year meant that I felt even more confident that even if I did get jobs during this third year, that I wouldn't have to, it wasn't going to be a sticky situation with the university.
Yeah.
I ended up getting a job at the end of my third year, and it aligned perfectly with being able to graduate on time and everything else. And that was a thing called Overshadowed, which was adapted from a play. It was a joint production with the BBC Three team and a Leeds-based production house, Roland Productions, which was set up by Kay Mellor, who is unfortunately no longer with us, but she was fantastic producer, wrote some fantastic pieces for TV and for stage. And again, that was a fantastic first job because it was such a warm team. The rehearsal process, we had a day, and it was because the director was also coming from a theatre background. We had elements of that, and so we really plotted out the storyline of the trajectory of these two characters before going in and filming non-chronologically. And then worked again with the BBC, did some fringe bits here and there, and then got the oh my goodness, where are we? Then we come back to The Play That Goes Wrong.
The Play That Goes Wrong. Wow, what a journey! Yeah, what a journey! It's just really exciting, isn't it? So you mentioned there you did a bit of TV. I mean, what do you not prefer, but I mean, do you like theatre over TV or vice versa? What's your preference?
I think my preference is definitely theatre.
Yeah,
because there's an instant gratification, particularly when you're doing comedy, because there's instant feedback from the audience. You know if you're funny or not. But the jeopardy of it being there and it being live and that technically anything could happen.
Yeah,
it is not the same when you're on set. And the rehearsal process, again, I can't speak for everybody, but in my experience, sometimes there is little to no rehearsal process in TV. We'll maybe do a few lines before we start shooting.
Yeah.
And then we'll pick up and make sure that sound and speed of sound and lights and everybody's happy. And you do things you do a couple takes, and then it's out of your hands. You don't have any more control over the end product.
Yeah.
Which can sometimes be a little bit frustrating because you go, oh, I knew I could have done that.
Yeah.
That take? Oh no.
Yeah.
But I think that I really enjoy the tech. I feel like for me again, screen acting is a very technical, not to say that theatre isn't technical, but it feels like a very technical practice.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a data geek. I like numbers, and we're looking at stats, and it feels like, for me, that's how I look at the film. I'm like, okay, it's right angles and making sure things look good, as well as everything which is going on here. But really knowing where the camera is and where to put your eye lines, and making sure that, like, if I do this instead of, if I put my face here instead of here, then how does that read even on screen? Yeah. There's a glorious masterclass which is free on YouTube that Michael Caine did, which we were shown when I was oh my god, what's the word? We did a block of screen acting at AUB, and they said, go and watch this, and I learned so much from that.
So you're out on tour at the moment with And Then There Were None. I've got it out correctly this time. What do you enjoy touring?
This is my first tour.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And I found it very, very enjoyable. I also have a very young family, and we're all along for the ride. So my partner, nice. And our two young boys, one's 2, one's 9 months. We're all coming along, which I think makes it even more special.
Yeah.
Being able to go to all these different places, because half the places I haven't been to in England.
Yeah. It's a nice way to see it.
Yeah, and I mean, and Ireland. We were meant to open in Northampton, but we ended up opening in Dublin. Never been to Dublin before. That was amazing. I've never been to Scotland before. Glasgow was the next stop. That was fantastic. And then seeing all these other places. Canterbury I'd never been to. Malvern was gorgeous. Right, Teletubby rolling hills. There's a big, one of these hills you have to climb because there's not much else to do apart from So
I do go to Malvern quite a bit, actually. I'm not far from Malvern, but wasn't able to make it over to the show, unfortunately. But I shall see it in Birmingham because you're there next year. I mean, the tour carries on until April of next year, which is a big old tour. I mean, you obviously enjoying the experience along the way. I mean, taking your kids and everything must be wonderful.
No, it is. It really is. And what makes it even more lovely is, I'm sorry, I'm just going to turn this down because it's
Yeah,
like
sure.
you can hear this. What makes it really lovely is the fact that the cast are so welcoming as well.
Oh, good.
So the guy and not just the cast, the production team, everyone has embraced them as well, which has
Mm,
been really lovely.
yeah.
So, and whenever we bring them into the green room, they're completely smitten and
Oh.
doted on. And the guys are always offered, they've been like, if you need time, if you want like a date night, don't worry, we can take the kids and stuff. So
Oh.
I think that has also made it so much more lovely. The
Yeah.
fact that we've gelled so much as a group
Mm.
and that I've been able to bring my family into that makes it really, really
Yeah.
special.
Well, it makes the experience a whole lot easier, I would think. I mean, if you all get on as a company, that makes it even more special. So we'll leave it there. But thank you so much for this wonderful conversation, Ollie. I know you've got a show to do tonight, and then you're leaving Richmond as of tomorrow, and then off to Sheffield, Cambridge, and York. And of course, all the dates for the tour can be found on the website, which I will put in the next slide. So thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the show tonight and take care.
No, thank you for taking the time.
No problem.